welcome to the Sports Guys. Another weekend recap. This is Labor Day, September 1st. We hope that you and your families are having the best day and that you had a day off, hopefully, and that you got to watch a tremendous amount of football the last 4 or 5 days. It's just been absolutely incredible. The number of games starting Thursday night, and it's just been so much fun. We even have a game coming up shortly tonight, which is a Monday night, and that's a special college game between UNC and TCU. How you doing, Robbie?
Excited about that one. Doing great. Doing great. Just having a really good holiday weekend. Got to do pool. Got to do. We were scootering around some greenways today. Just had a really good couple of days. Yeah, lots of football.
Yeah, it's been great. The football has just been at a really high level. What were your big takeaways? What were some of the most disappointing teams, disappointing players, and then what were some of the teams that kind of surprised you?
I think the themes from the weekend are about 3 or 4 different themes. Number one, that it's a huge guessing game in the beginning when you haven't seen these transfer portal teams put together and what they're going to be. So a lot of teams were ranked incorrectly, and that's okay. Like give people a pass. They don't have much to go on, you know. That's one. Number two, if you look at all the games that happened, pretty much every single one where the home team, okay, there was 2 kinds of games this weekend. There were 2 kinds. One was a high-powered ranked team versus a weak team or no-name team or whatever. And those games were all blowouts.
And by the way, those are very similar to what we were used to in the old days of college football.
Yes.
Used to first 2 or 3 weeks, they call them tune-ups. They're kind of like preseason games.
They were all blowouts, 63-7, stuff like that. All of them. In addition to that, you had the other kind of game there was high-powered matchup. 6 versus 4 or whatever. 1 versus 3. And those were all super low-scoring games. And those really did show that the defenses are ahead of the offense right now for a multitude of reasons. Number one, offense takes timing. Number two, your defensive players are healthy. They haven't been pummeled all year and they can barely lift their arms. I mean, they're healthy. They're ready to go. They're chomping at the bit. They're hitting people hard. You know, so the defenses are healthy. They're flying around the ball. They're more reaction, driven. So, and then the other major theme that I saw was every single home team won in the top 25 except Clemson. So pretty much every game that was on Saturday or Sunday, the home team won, even if they weren't favored. So that's interesting. I mean, home field is seriously an advantage. And you saw it on display this week.
I'd add 2 themes to your list. One is that the transfer portal creates uncertainty like we have never seen before. So that essentially, when you say Texas is the number 1 team, you really have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know. Yeah.
You do know Texas' defense is going to be absolutely fantastic, and they were really great in the game. You also know the SEC defenses and the Big Ten defenses are just a different animal. When you play them, it's really hard to put points on the board. Really hard. If you miss a field goal, it's almost like a death knell because you've got to get those points. The second theme I saw was in the case of Arch Manning, and we're going to get deep into it, but with him, he came out of a 2A school out of high school instead of a 4A school. And they were talking a lot about there's a huge difference when you're talking about 2A versus 4A. And he has been hyped up tremendously because of his name. He was not chosen to be the starter over Quinn Ewers 2 years in a row. And a lot of people think there's a real reason for that. They saw him in practice. They saw that he has this arm that is stupendous, maybe better than both of his uncles. But what he doesn't have yet is the processing speed. And so we saw that in a case of a couple of quarterbacks, him and a couple of others, who haven't gotten the processing speed down yet. And because they haven't, they get sacked a lot or they end up with a lot of negative plays. And
Yeah.
He's just not processing the way you would like to see him do. He's just not. He may get there, and I hope he does.
I think he
But
will.
even guys like Nico with UCLA got absolutely blitzed because they're saying he has the same problem. He's holding the ball way too long. He doesn't let it go until 3.5 or 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to work. That's not a formula that works in the NFL, especially. So
No, but there's a reason why Arch came out at his first press conference and said, "I've only played 2 games. Like, you guys are hyping me up, but
right.
I don't know why." Like he's been very humble, and I don't think he doesn't. This wasn't a shock for him. He knew that going into Ohio State was going to be rough, and so anyway, the other theme is that the high-powered matchups were super low scoring, and the defenses really dominated the offenses.
They did.
And all those quarterbacks in those high-powered matchups, most of them didn't do great. I'd say most of them were a little disappointing. So, but there's a lot of room for growth here. This is 1 week. This is the first week. And if you lined up a patty cake team, you crushed the heck out of them. And if you went in and played a top 10 team, you were fighting your guts out, and it was 14-7, or it was 21-14.
Probably your 2 most disappointing teams and quarterbacks were Cade Klubnik and Clemson, and losing at home was just inexcusable to an LSU team that's good but not great, I don't think.
I think they're pretty good.
And then Arch Manning is
I
on
don't
top
agree
of
that
what,
I don't agree that that's a bad loss. I do think that that was the anomaly, losing at home. But
it was a
I don't
bad
think
loss because, like you said, low scoring, and Cade Klubnik and the offense just couldn't get anything going all day. It was just really
LSU's D
disappointing.
looked pretty good.
Really disappointing. And then Texas, also very disappointing because, essentially they waited until the last 4 minutes of the game to really look like a real offense. And so you kind of wonder whether maybe we should go back to the situation where they play 1 or 2 preseason games, kind of like the NFL does, because these guys just weren't ready. These offenses.
Well, I think as long as the committee doesn't hold too much against a team that didn't play great in week 1, then I'm happy they're giving us a good product. You want to see Ohio State, Texas play to lead off the season.
But
John
Gruden
not
talks
ideal
about,
from their standpoint. It is ideal for the customer for the viewer's standpoint. So, as long as you don't hold the loser to too high a standard and they can't get back into the playoff race, you're fine. Just enjoy it.
you saw a situation with this incredible prospect. He was the number 1 prospect 2 years ago coming out of high school, and that is Arch Manning. You saw a situation where he didn't check the boxes. When you talk to John Gruden, there's certain checks you have to have that stud quarterback. You have to have leadership. He was unable to show that because he looked so deer in the headlights the whole day. Two,
I don't agree.
two, you have to have the gun. He has that. He can make all the throws. If you get him into any practice session, he can make every single throw on the field. So he's got that one. That's a check. 3 is the processing power. He doesn't have that yet. And a lot of these guys don't.
A little slow. I disagree with your first point, though. He's going to be fine. He just needs some time. He needs to start all season, and then next year he'll be in the Heisman candidate race. But he won't be this year, and that's shame on us, not necessarily me or you, because I don't think we didn't buy into this Arch Manning hype. But but all the commentators and reporters like Feinbaum, they're out of their mind. We need to see him start for all season, and then they can think about anointing.
Is there anybody who's missed more than Feinbaum this year? He was 0 for 5 in all of his major picks on Saturday. It's almost like he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's been in the business for a long time.
Well, we need to give everybody a break with week 1. Well, there's so much going on in the transfer portal. You never know how it's all going to fit together. You could have Carson Beck last year looked pretty terrible, but the year before he looked great. So, and then this year he looks pretty good again. So
But
you
did you
don't know.
notice the guys who came back and didn't go to the draft and came for another year of seasoning? They all looked good. Altmaier, Carson Beck,
Yeah, for the
Drew
most part.
Aller, Nussmeier came back for another year. He looks really good. All these guys that are seasoned and decided to stay until their fourth year, essentially, until they go to the NFL.
Sellers, yeah.
It's all paying off. Yes,
Yeah, I agree.
sellers. The
But
only guy
that's
it
why
didn't pay off for
what did
was
Arch
Cade
say
Klubnik.
the first thing? He said, I'm coming back next year.
Exactly.
Just to take all that pressure off. Like,
That's
he's
right.
not looking at the NFL. He's like, I want to learn more about how to handle these blitzes. I want to learn more. I've got live fire finally, and they're not this limited amount of packages while I'm filling in for yours or
And
helping. But he's
I don't
the
think it
guy.
helped him at all to lead off his career in the shoe, which is one of the
No,
hardest places to play in the country.
I can't think of a
110,000.
worse idea for a start for him. So, like, this is overreaction Monday stuff. All this trashing of Arch. Look, it was equally ridiculous saying that he's the Heisman runaway favorite as it is to say he's never going to process fast enough. He's never going to be good enough. Those are ridiculous statements. They're too far to the extremes.
Extreme.
They're not dealing with reality. The reality is he's going to be very good quarterback, probably great, but he needs to start all year and get and improve and run into some tough games and see what that environment's like and keep preparing and keep getting himself
Yeah, because
ready.
he's going to play Oklahoma, who's very good this year. He's
Yeah.
going to
And
play,
next
Alabama.
year,
He's going to play Georgia.
he could possibly win the Heisman. I'm not going to be surprised, but he's not going to be in the running this year. And I think he was hinting at that, like, hey, I'm coming back, guys. I've only played 2 games. He definitely does not need to be humbled. He's humble already. He is humble. He knows his limitations. He knows how little football he's seen. And going into Ohio State on week 1 is a nightmare. I mean,
the other thing I noticed this weekend was how many great quarterbacks there are this year in college football.
yes.
It's crazy.
We've
Sam
talked about
Levitt,
Levitt,
Kevin Jennings with SMU. It's just
Lenore
on
Sellers,
and on.
Aller,
There's like 15 prospects for the NFL right now. It's really
Nussmeier.
crazy.
Yeah, I know.
And all these guys coming back really helps the sport a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So you're talking about a lot of high-level football being played on Saturday. It's really
No
beautiful.
question. There were a lot of good.
Altmaier looked fantastic.
Lagway, TJ Lagway.
Yeah.
They smashed Long Island.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah, this is another good quarterback draft for sure.
The only senior who flopped was Cade Klubnik, and we know he's good. I mean, we've seen him be good.
Yeah,
they just had a really
game.
flunky day. They just did not.
By the way, LSU is going to be a lot better than people think.
They're a problem. Yeah,
they're a real good team.
Yeah,
real good team.
Well, let's go take a look at our material for tonight. All right, so this is our Football Overload Labor Day special weekend recap. I love the football overload aspect of it. You just can't get enough football right now. We've been starving for it for so long. So in terms of the college, we talked about the Arch Manning situation, I think ad nauseum. We're going to get into some more of it, some of the things the pundits are saying. Did he go up against a really great NFL defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia? The answer is yes. He's used to going up against much tougher quarterbacks than he is. So, we'll get into that a little bit more. You had Sayin, who was the starter as a freshman for Ohio State, looked pretty good. Didn't dazzle or anything, but had a couple nice throws. Great. He was a little more accurate than Manning, I would say. He was hitting his crossing patterns. Only a little bit.
Hold on. The narrative that's come out of this about Sayin looked so great and he's a freshman and Arch was terrible and never going to get there is insane. Like, that's not what happened. What happened was they both got stifled. And if it weren't for Texas getting stopped on the goal line, it would have been 14-all. You know what I mean?
Like, that's right.
It was completely both offenses got shut down.
But that's a simplified version of it, because if you look at every
throw, a lot of good stuff from Sayin, and I saw Arch get better as the game went on, especially in the fourth quarter. And both guys are going to be just fine. They're going to be very good quarterbacks this year. I think the future is so bright for Sayin. But anybody who thinks that Sayin good Manning bad is just
No, that's too simplified.
it's
But it's
insane.
also
It's
too
insane.
simplified to say that it was almost a 14-14 game, because when you look at every single throw, Sam was more on target for the entire game. He just was.
He was
And
slightly more accurate,
does that mean he's going to be a better quarterback
but
than
he had
Arch?
fewer
Not necessarily.
yards. He had fewer yards. He had
Yeah.
one touchdown, and Manning had one touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
QBR, he had a little better QBR, but he had so much better weapons.
And he got bailed out by an incredible catch by Carmel Tate. Oh my goodness, what a
Yeah,
catch! So,
that's what I'm saying.
and he
So, like,
definitely has better weapons. There's no
the
question.
idea that one played so much better than the other, that did not happen in that game. That
Yeah.
is a storyline that is simply not based in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is both offenses sputtered against the highest level defenses in the country. They're both probably going to be top 5 defense in the country.
Remember, we talked about SEC and Big Ten defenses are just different. They just are. They're so
No question.
stalwart. Yeah.
And you got a rookie quarterback and a quarterback who's starting for the first time, or one of the first times in his career. That's not a recipe for a lot of good quarterback play. And
Very true.
even though we saw good stuff out of those two guys, it just wasn't up to the level of the defenses they were facing.
I do feel good about saying, though, I think he's going to have a really good career.
Oh,
He's 18 years old.
He's incredible. I mean, but he didn't play that well in that game.
True.
True. He had a few nice throws, and
he was facing a really great defense, maybe the best
he didn't
defense
make
in the
that many
country.
mistakes.
Yeah.
Texas could be the best defense in the country. So
They probably are.
Yeah. He's going to only improve. Like, he's going to improve when he plays against,
Iowa or something. Yeah.
Somebody who's not as good as Texas.
Right. That's right.
But I think so is Arch. Arch is going to be a very good quarterback this year. He's going to have a lot of wins. Yep. His team is going to rally around him. I think he's a really good leader. He's going to learn how to process faster. He's a Manning, which means they're going to work with him on his off weeks, and they're going to be doing a lot of phone calls with the uncles. And
that's right.
He's
going to
be fine.
So another QB that showed out was Sam Levitt, who does not have Cam Scatterbo anymore. And everyone was really kind of wondering, was he really a good quarterback, or was it that he had this incredibly bruising running back? And he really looked great. He was really sharp, really in command. So I think
the
he
impressive
definitely
part for
helped
Levitt was his running. Like, he had 73 yards running and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
But on top of that, he was 25 of 39, 257 yards, and 2 touchdowns throwing.
That's right.
So he was he dominated. He was ready.
He was good last year, but he wasn't this good. Like, you can see he's really rounding into shape and ready for NFL draft at the end of this year. He's
and I'm not that familiar with Northern Arizona, so but Levitt definitely showed him how it's done.
No question. So another guy who really flopped this weekend, we talked about Cade, we talked about Arch Manning, but Nico goes from Tennessee to UCLA, hoping to revive his career. He went for money, he went for other reasons, and he could not have flopped any harder on Saturday. It was really kind of sad to watch. Ends up getting pulled about halfway through the fourth quarter. What is your
sad
thought
part
about
for him is him watching Tennessee be really good without him?
I was going to say they're even better this year, I think. What do you think about Nico, his career, where it's going? It seems to be going a little bit down the drain right now. Like, how is he going to revive?
I think there's plenty of time. If he has good coaching around him and good advisors, he'll be okay. He was a huge prospect coming out of high school. I think there's a lot of talent there. A little diva, seems like. A little bit of a diva.
You think UCLA was the right spot for him? It's not a very good ball club right now. Not a good program.
I don't think they're great, and I think there's a lot of distractions.
Yeah.
I think he would have been better going somewhere it's quiet. Iowa or something.
I just feel bad for the kid because his career is really, it's a little bit on the rocks right now. Let's be honest.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
And this adversity might be exactly what he needs. I don't know.
So another guy who just absolutely dominated. I used to be so impressed watching him last year, and I loved watching him even when they beat up on our Cavaliers. And that was Castellanos from Boston College last year. And this year with Florida State. And Florida State, like you said when we were talking offline, may be the most improved team in the country because they went 2-10 last year. This year they beat Alabama behind this kid Castellanos, who I was always impressed with him last year. So,
Yeah.
what are your
Oh,
thoughts about
he's a
him and
baller.
where he's going?
He's a baller. I told you that the transfer portal definitely helped different teams different amounts. I don't think there's a team that got helped more than Florida State.
Right.
And
I
that's pretty
agree.
much what we talked about on our phone calls. Excuse me. They made such good moves in the portal, and it's
Mhm.
clearly increased their talent level really quickly. That wasn't possible in the past. That wasn't one of the things that could happen to your team, have dramatic improvement in one season
They
due
would have
to
lost to this
transfer
same
portal.
Bama team last year by like 4 or 5 touchdowns.
I don't
That's how
know.
much they've come along.
Last year, it wasn't that they got blown out all the time. It's that they lost close games, and they lost all
Mhm.
of them.
Mhm. Right.
And they had some talented players last year. They did really well in the transfer portal this year.
He's got some swagger too. Like he
Yeah,
has a lot of confidence from the way he played at BC and made them at least a winning club. And he's got some swagger, but
yeah.
not cocky swagger, just like confidence.
He's
So,
confident.
yeah.
He he was 9 of 14, 152 yards, and then rushing, he was 16 for 78 rushing yards and a
Right.
touchdown. So he was
Right.
a dual threat against Alabama. like,
And by the
you
way,
know,
Bama was just really soft in this game. I don't know what happened.
yeah,
They were never
yeah.
soft like that.
They
They
got they got beat up.
it didn't look like an SEC defense at all. They were very soft.
Alabama had 23 straight wins opening day until Florida
Mhm.
State handled them.
Right. So I'm
So
kind of
things are
excited to
not good
see
in Alabama
I'm
right now.
excited to see what Castellanos does this year. He's really kind of an exciting player. He might be this
I
year's
told you
Cam
before they
Ward.
played that
Mhm.
Florida State had improved. I felt like the overall ACC had improved a little bit,
It has. It
and
has for sure.
that everybody was catching the SEC now because it seems like a lot of the SEC schools aren't in the money situation that you might think they are. Their
That's true.
NIL advantage is not as
Like
great as
Bama.
you might think.
Yeah, that's right.
Alabama's struggling in the money department.
So another guy who needed a huge day because he really was disappointing last year, and especially in all the big games, he really just looked like deer in the headlights and made a lot of bad throws and decisions, was Carson Beck.
Yep.
And this is his comeback year. This is his year to try to prove himself to pro scouts. And he looked very poised, very in command, made the right throws, made the right reads, threw it away when he needed to.
Pretty good. Yeah.
He was doing the long, like 20 and
He
25-yard outs. He was throwing
he
those
looked
kind of
good in the
passes.
pocket.
Yeah. So he was really impressive. He led his team to a 3-point win against Notre Dame, which is a really good ball club,
Yeah.
and another one of those winning games at home.
Heck of a game.
But thought about Carson Beck. Can he be the quarterback we always thought he was this year?
It looks that way. Remember how I've always talked to you, Tom, about how when quarterbacks look good their sophomore and junior year and then they have a down senior year,
Hmm.
I'll take a chance and draft them because you don't forget how to play quarterback. What oftentimes happens is the team around you is not as good. Your best wide receivers all go NFL. The next guys up are not quite as good. And then you look like you're not as good all of a sudden. You're
Hmm.
just as good at quarterback. That's not something that you slip. It doesn't slip. The cast around you can change, and that can really make a difference.
And
But
I think he's joined a quarterback whisperer this year. He's always had a reputation for being really good with quarterbacks, and he seems to have really gotten into Carson's ear. He's really got kind of guided him in the right direction. So we shall
yeah,
see, but certainly a promising start for him against a really good team.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
another guy who
And
was just
and
incredibly
let's face
impressive,
it, he had some nice catches by Malachi Tony.
no doubt. I love that kid. I
That
love that
guy's
kid.
good.
What's crazy is, he was playing against a really good quarterback from Notre Dame who played very well himself.
Oh, they played great, both of them.
CJ Carr, and who comes from the Lloyd Carr family, which is a
Hmm.
really famous football family.
Yeah,
So you can't say anything bad about how Notre Dame played badly or anything like that. It was just
no,
one of those really great games.
it was a great game. It was one of the
Team
best
battle,
games of
yeah,
the weekend
it was.
because it was not only close, but there was some scoring. There was also really good defense, and there was good quarterback play. A lot of the high-flying games did not have very good quarterback play. Even
true.
though the good quarterbacks, most of them were on teams that obliterated their opponent. So,
True.
but the high matchup games where you had two top 25 teams playing, they were all low scoring. Defenses were winning the day, and one of the quarterbacks just made one extra play, and it ended up being a touchdown, and they went
right.
14-7 or whatever. That was the theme of week 1,
So another guy who was really solid last year and wanted to come back for his senior year to improve his NFL draft stock was Luke Altmaier for Illinois. Yeah. And man, did he look good this weekend. He can make
Illinois.
all the
They're
throws.
always my sleeper.
He's always in command. He's always audibling out. He loves to audible at the line. He already looks like a pro quarterback the way he plays. It's crazy.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah,
he's
phenomenal. He really is. So
his stats were amazing. They won 52-3.
If you're a team in the NFL right now and you're looking at this class that's about to come out, you have to be pretty encouraged. You really do.
Yeah.
That you can find your guy.
He was 17 of 21. That's almost perfect.
Right.
3 touchdowns, no picks.
Really in command. What do you think about Illinois maybe doing what Indiana did last year? They might really make some noise in the Big Ten.
They've been coming on for the last couple of years. I've had my eye on Illinois for a couple of years now. Certainly aware of them before, but there's something different. They built a program there that's dangerous. You don't want to play Illinois. They're a top program.
Play solid defense. They can run the ball.
I mean, they're ranked 12, but they're going to be up, starting this week.
That's right.
And Altmaier really gives them gravitas. He gives them a serious threat.
So another guy who completely surprised this weekend and surprised us Cavalier fans from University of Virginia is Cam Ross.
Yes.
And everybody's been comparing him after watching this performance. Every time he touched the ball, he could go. He's just one of those kind of guys. They were comparing him to Zacchaeus, who was one of our favorite guys who can take a little swing pass and go 80 yards. And that's what this kid is. It's just crazy. Every time they found a way to get him into space, he was creating a 21-yard gain. It was just
including
so fun
a kickoff return.
And they're playing a really solid Coastal Carolina team that went to a bowl last year and the year before, and we didn't go to a bowl. And they blow them out 48-7, and this kid just went off. It was crazy.
Yeah,
just dump it off to him.
He got a 100-yard kickoff return.
Exactly.
In addition to
what do you think of this kid and what he can be? And I mean, how exciting is this going to be in Charlottesville this year?
I mean, he's one of the better players that we've had in a while. I think this is the best Virginia team that we've had in a few years, to be honest.
Yes, I agree. I was actually joking with my son about that, about how Virginia's good about every 5 to 6 years. And maybe this is the year,
I think they could get to a bowl game this year, possibly.
Yeah, I think so.
Which lately that's an achievement.
Agreed. And interestingly enough, there's a really exciting receiver who's a lot like this on NC State, and that is Grimes. And he was just really dominant on Saturday. Really fun to watch him play too. So it's fun to have both of these teams with really good receivers. So the big NFL story coming out of last week, of course, and it just set the world on fire. And that was the Micah Parsons trade that nobody saw coming. Everybody thought for sure that they would never part with him, that there just wouldn't be enough draft compensation to make it worth it. They had a handshake agreement in March for $40 million a year for 5 years. And Jerry Jones, being an old school guy, figured he looked him in the eye, shook his hand, and that it was a deal. They worked around his agent, by the way, which was not smart. But so then 6 months later, ends up holding out, ends up reneging on the deal that Jones thought he had with him, ends up not wanting to be in Dallas, and forces his way out via trade. And almost all the analysts I watched the last 2 days have said they feel like that it was very light in compensation. They feel like that this is a generational Hall of Fame type talent. And you just don't let that type of talent go out the door for 2 first-round picks who might be busts. So your initial thoughts when you heard about this trade, what have you thought about it since you've had time to digest it? What are your thoughts about the Cowboys? I already thought they weren't going to be very good, but they could be.
Here's the problem. I don't have too much of a problem with Jones trading him for 2 first-round picks. My problem is I don't think Jones is going to hit home runs with those picks. So you're just letting a good player walk. But to me, he's not worth $47 million a year.
And Rob, those first round picks are going to be around 28, 29, 30 because the Packers are going to be good. So,
Potentially,
yeah,
they'll
I
be
mean, they're
around
not going to be great picks.
23, 22.
Yeah, I mean, you
But
can get a good player, but not a great player.
right. But Dallas might be bad, so they might be drafting high.
True.
I mean, when you have a player who doesn't want to be with you, you got to get what you can. I think people were worried about Micah um, with his podcast. It's a
Right.
little
Right.
much.
You know, a
Um,
lot of the analysts were correct
you
in
can run
saying,
right at him. He's got a vulnerability. He's not super great against the run, so he's not worth $47 million.
well, that's the
He's
thing.
not.
The other thing people were saying, and it's true, a lot of the analysts were saying, look, as an NFL club right now, under the salary cap structure, you can only afford 2 max contract guys. You can only have 2.
Yeah,
And Dallas already has 2. They've got Dak and CeeDee Lamb.
yeah.
So
That's why you have
essentially,
to get rid of him.
they couldn't put him under the cap in the current structure. They would have had to let a lot of players go and or restructure contracts to make it happen.
Yeah,
And they just couldn't afford it. Whereas if you look at the teams that actually had the money available under their cap, there was only 1 out of the 5 that had a winning record, and that was Green Bay. And so, he wasn't going to do that to Parsons, even though he was frustrated with him. He wasn't going to send him to, some bottom basement team, Seattle or something. So in the end, Green Bay was the natural fit because they could actually fit him under the cap. So
yeah. But if you're Dallas, it's terrible because you're going to be playing against them in the NFC.
well, they're playing against him in a month.
Yeah.
That's going to be really painful when he comes to Dallas. So I just think this whole thing was completely mismanaged. We've talked about Jerry Jones shouldn't be the GM. He really shouldn't have been all along.
Right.
And I think as he gets older and older, he's 82 now. He's just kind of out to lunch, and he's making a lot of mistakes, and he's guiding his team to being not just not a playoff team, but really a bottom basement.
Kind of a laughing stock.
Yeah, they're going to be last in the NFC East, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
It's
I'm
because
Dallas
all the
fan,
teams around them are making good decisions while they're making poor decisions.
all of them
And
are improving.
mishandling all these contracts and trying to sign max deals for good players who have, who have flaws. I mean, he's not Aaron Donald. He can't stop the run and blitz the quarterback and do all this stuff. You've got seems like a bit of a diva, maybe. And he's asking for ungodly money. I mean, that's 3 good players worth, 4 good players
That's
worth.
right. That's right.
He's going to hurt
But
your team if you pay him that
but
much.
but I think what most analysts are saying, and they're right. The reason this was so badly mismanaged was if he was going to trade Mike in any scenario, he needed to do it back in March or April, before the draft, and he could have gotten probably 3 first-round picks back then.
Maybe.
And he just mismanaged this whole situation. He really
I
did.
just don't think people think of his value being 3 first-round pick value.
Yeah, true. The other thing is, it's great to get the first-round picks, but they don't help you in 2025. So they did get a run stuffer in the deal. So I think that helps a little bit because that's what they're really weak on is run stuffing. But
That's right.
I don't know. I personally believe this is incredibly mismanaged, and there's a lot of learning here for other GMs that you don't try to go around the agent and you don't rely on a handshake deal 6 months earlier. Those kind of things. I know that he's old school, but it just doesn't work that way anymore. You got to get into the real world. So I don't know. We'll see.
Jones he's a terrible general manager.
He is horrible, and he's getting worse. Which being a guy who doesn't like the Cowboys personally, I'm okay with it. But as a football fan, it kind of hurts me to watch.
He
how
overpays his
incompetent he is.
stars.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
he doesn't nail the draft very well. And he has huge gaping problems on his team that he doesn't address in the draft.
That's exactly right.
So
looking at the scoreboard for Texas Ohio State, Arch Manning, 17 for 30, 170, 5.7 average with a touchdown and an interception. And he had 2 others that should have been picked off. He got really lucky. Both of those didn't. Has a QBR of 58, which is about as bad as you can get. So really played poorly until literally like the last half of the fourth quarter, when he really started to kind of wake up. He did have a couple guys that had a nice day for Texas. One was Wisner, was a pretty nice back in that game. 16 for 80, 5-yard average. Had a nice day. One guy who was kind of disappointing for them that's supposed to be their big star is Ryan Wingo. He's their big-time receiver. And he had 2 catches for 35 yards. He really was kind of not an impact in this game. Kind of got it taken out of the game. Similar to Jeremiah Smith, he had 6 catches, but it was really only for 43 yards and really didn't have much of an impact either.
You know what I was surprised about when I looked at some of these stats? First of all, Texas won almost every offensive stat.
Yes.
That was surprising. Yardage, third down conversions, first downs, all of it. The biggest area that Ohio State dominated was time of possession. So they had some pretty good keeping it on the ground and keeping it under control. But what I was surprised about is these defenses absolutely stifled the offenses.
It was crazy. They were so good.
But the numbers don't bear it out. 0 sacks for Texas and 1 tackle for loss.
The numbers don't bear it out, but the eye test, if you just watched it, you can see how frustrated these offenses
the numbers were shockingly different than what I saw. Like Ohio State had 1 sack and 1 tackle for loss. I saw these defenses dominating. Like, it was wild. The stats did not match.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is, do you think that these defensive coordinators are getting better and better? A lot of them, by the way, are getting rehired back from the NFL.
No doubt.
Because they're finding ways to shut down Wingo, shut down Jeremiah Smith, shut down Williams for Alabama. He was largely ineffective. So you have these big-time receivers that are not having the impact in the big games like you think they would.
They used every kind of trick you can imagine. They did so much misdirection. They would bring a bunch of guys up, max, like huge pressure, and back all of them out and flood the zones backwards with defenders and confuse the heck out of Manning. Then there would be a guy who would do a delayed blitz coming around the end and just like shock. Manning was already swimming, and then he'd see some guy come barreling in like a safety or a corner.
What's interesting about Manning, he's stronger than you think he is, because there were a couple times he should have gone down and he didn't. He was able to get the ball off.
I was blown away. I was honestly blown away at Ohio State's defensive game plan. I mean, when you look
it was stunning
at what they did, it was like a high-level NFL scheme.
It was. It's because it's Matt Patricia.
I know. Matt Patricia.
He's got 3 Super Bowl rings.
Did an absolutely amazing job of keeping Arch Manning absolutely guessing. Had no idea what was going to happen next.
That's right.
He was always showing one look pre-snap, and then post-snap something completely different.
That's right.
And Arch had never seen that before. Not
so
you talked
a little bit about Julian Sayin having a pretty good day for a freshman. 13 for 20, 126 for a touchdown, no interceptions, had a 74 QBR. Obviously, he can play better, but was playing an unbelievable defense. And
my problem I had with it was the narrative that was coming forward, which was Arch was terrible, Sayin was amazing. Go look at their stats; they're not that different. I think Ohio State's defensive game plan was better, but I don't think their defense is better. I think Texas's defense is one of the best in the country, and they were all over Sayin. I mean, they were very difficult to play against, and ultimately it came down to a goal line punching the ball in to score to make it 14. And Texas goal line, they got stopped. And like, that's the difference in the game. It's like these two offenses were definitely manhandled by the defenses. And it came down to really kind of like one play.
But you know what Tom Brady said about that? He said,
on the goal line.
Tom Brady said, look, I think Arch Manning's can be great in college and pro.
I do too. I
But he
think
said,
next year.
but he said, but he said, I will also tell you that if he's elite right now, which he's not, but if he
Mm-mm.
were, he would have punched that ball in the fourth quarter. The elite quarterbacks get that drive done, and Tom Brady's right about that.
I don't
And
agree.
so that shows you how far away he's got to go. He's got to get to a level where he punches that ball in those situations in the
I
fourth
think
quarter.
if they played
Like
Wake
that.
Forest, they punched that ball in. Like,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, of
you know what I
course.
mean? Like they
But
played Ohio State.
but if you're going to be elite and be the number one pick, you need to be able to do it against Ohio State too. Is what I'm saying.
I'll tell you what,
So,
there were several quarterbacks last year that started out the season like this, and they ended up showing a tremendous improvement.
yep,
And I think that's what's going to happen with Arch. If he doesn't get hurt, I think he's going to look a lot better than this at the end of the season.
I
And
think
he's
so
going
too.
to, is he a Heisman candidate? No, that's all way overhyped. But I
I
think
think
that,
Julian Sand will also look better at the end of the season. These guys are going to develop.
correct. That's
Yeah.
right. They're
Mhm.
both good quarterbacks who are going to improve with their offenses
Mhm.
the longer they're going against real live defenses. Um, and let's see Texas at home. Give Arch an easy team at home, and let's see how much better he looks.
What do you think these offenses can do against these elite defenses to get these generational talents they have as wide receivers free? Because these defensive coordinators seem to have kind of figured these wide receivers out a little bit.
No, no. This is very standard. The defenses are ahead of the offenses, and you have to ask yourself why. Number one, defense is reactionary. Number two, they're healthy. They're all healthy. They're not going to be healthy in about 2 games, 3 games on. They're going to be just playing hurt. They're going to be mash units, backups everywhere, and they're going to get run all over
Right.
by the offenses that are going to be continually getting better.
True.
So offenses are about timing. Defenses are about reaction and being healthy. When defenses are healthy, they dominate.
If you were a lover of defense, you love this game. If you
You
were
love the beginning of the
most
season.
fans, I'd say 70% of fans came away from this game disappointed
If
because
you love
the
defense,
average fan wants to see offense. They want to see
if you
touchdowns.
love defense, you love weeks 1 and 2 the best because your defenses are going to be dominating. After they start to have attrition and injuries and offenses start clicking better and having much better timing, they start to exploit defenses.
They
And
tear you up.
so,
Yeah.
so you start to see offensive weapons emerge, and then you start to have a whole new group that's put together as Heisman
I think
hopefuls.
the average fan who thought this was going to be 41-34 was disappointed. And maybe they shouldn't have expected that because you're talking about an SEC defense and
Yeah,
a
I mean,
Big Ten
you put
defense.
your finger on it. There's an expectation problem, not a performance problem. I mean, do you think that any of the coaches are happy with a 14-7 final? I mean,
No.
neither team was that happy, probably.
Yeah, I
Because,
agree.
if you're Ohio State and you scored 14 points, that isn't going to be Michigan.
No, it's not. You're exactly right.
That's not
Even
going to beat
Penn State.
Penn State. It's just
Yeah.
not. Like, so 14 points, Ryan Day was so happy to get the win, but he's walking away going, God, I hope our offense does a little better than this real
Right.
soon.
That's right.
So
They were
I
one
mean,
dropped. They were one dropped Carnell Tate pass away from going into overtime. So yeah.
well, they stopped Texas on the goal line. So
So looking at some of the reactions to this overhype that came for Arch Manning, which was either fair or not fair. I think it was unfair, but this
unfair.
was Aaron Rodgers' brother, Jordan Rodgers, said the hype doesn't match the tape. And by the way, that was before the game. This was going into the game. He said that. He said, when I watch the tape, I just don't see it. I just don't see it with Arch Manning.
I
And
actually disagree. I saw a lot of pretty good plays and very athletic plays by him. Not so much the last game that he played, but the one before it.
Mhm.
I mean, last year, not his last game last year, but the one before it,
Mhm.
he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of potential there. We've got to stop being out of our minds with overhyping. Like, we
Mhm.
got to let him just be a young quarterback and learning.
So you think this is overly harsh too early in his career?
Overly harsh.
Yeah.
He's not Heisman favorite, and he's not terrible. He
Right.
is decent
Developing. He's
and
developing.
developing.
Yeah.
And he'll be great next year. That's my personal opinion. I think he's gonna be great next year. He's gonna be decent this year, and
So
he
this
should
is what's
end better and better.
this is what's incredible to me is in the pros, you're now getting paid for performance, past performance, and what they expect to get out of you. In college, they're paying you for truly future prospects. I mean, they're paying Arch 6.8 million this year. 6.8 million. So I
That's a
don't know.
lot.
It seems a little out of whack when he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't won a big game yet in his life. So I don't know. I don't
I
know how you
agree.
feel about it, but it just feels like the system's all out of whack.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get it corrected. I think they're
Yeah.
gonna get it corrected. I think people
Yeah.
want return on their money, and when a lot of these players end up being just so, that millionaire doesn't reach in his checkbook the next year and overpay again. Like,
I mean, why would he go to the
stuff will
pros?
get corrected.
You're making 7 million a year. Why would you go to the pros?
Yeah. But I will say that there's a pretty strong case for the transfer portal, which means NIL dollars.
True.
Go look at Florida State. Like,
Yeah.
there's some teams that really killed it in the portal, and Notre Dame always does really well, you know.
Exactly right.
And
Another one
they're
here.
they're gonna be the
This
ones
was
that do well.
this is pretty interesting. Criticism of Arch Manning after his recent debut focuses on his underwhelming performance in a critical game against Ohio State, where fans and analysts noted inconsistent mechanics, poor timing, bad reads despite massive preseason hype. Some argue the quarterback's performance highlighted his inexperience against top-tier defenses and was a
Yeah,
disappointment given unrealistic expectations placed on him by media and fans. However,
correct.
others pointed out the pressure of the situation, the loss of key teammates, and the coach's conservative play calling as contributors to his struggling offense.
I don't think it was conservative play calling. I think the Ohio State Matt Patricia and his defense did a masterful plan of keeping all his throwing lanes scrambled and very tricky and confusing. He was confused.
Well, no, what's interesting is to the right there, you see Steve Sarkisian didn't hold back. He didn't hold back on himself or on Arch. And he said that he did put in a very kind of conservative play call regime because he wasn't really sure what he was going to get from Arch. He actually admitted that in the press conference. So they didn't put in all the kind of wrinkles
I
that
mean,
they
it was
thought.
okay, but
Yeah.
Quintravian Wisner carried the ball 16 times.
Well,
That's
and
not
he knew that he was going up against an Ohio State defense that has one of the best players in the country, maybe the best player in the country at
on the
linebacker.
road. They have the
Yeah,
two best players in the country, one on offense, one on defense.
that's right.
So
That's right. So I don't know. He was pretty brutal in this press conference about how he and his staff had kind of let Arch down, how Arch didn't play particularly well. He also said he thought Arch was going to use his legs more, and that he was really stunned that he didn't. He said there were a number of times he could have taken off and didn't.
yeah,
So I don't know. They got to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out how they move forward against some of the elite teams.
I think what they need is they need to play a much easier opponent, get things right, and then work their way towards like being near the top in the SEC and then working their way towards SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a process, and
Right.
they're not near it yet. I mean, they're not
True.
on the way right now. No.
I did like that Steve was brutally honest about he and the staff and Arch, because you can't improve unless you're honest with yourself about what
Right.
some of the problems were.
Yeah.
So about saying this was interesting. We like Joel Klatt. We respect him. He basically said that his calm, historic debut against Texas impressed him, and that he thinks he's going to be a heck of a player in a year or two.
I agree with that.
And so he was really impressed with how poised he was. He seemed to have command in the pocket. He wasn't nervous. The situation didn't seem to overwhelm him. He stayed within the offense. He didn't create any turnovers. Thoughts on what Joel says about saying?
Well, I've already said how I feel like the storylines here are very, very exaggerated. I think saying Arch was terrible doesn't match the hype. doesn't match the tape, all that. And then Sayin is so good, etc. That's just not what I saw. I saw Sayin do a nice job as a freshman. He played pretty well. His stats were comparable to Arch's. Arch's were actually a little better in some categories.
He kind of managed the game, right?
He
And that's
managed
not
well.
a
He
bad thing.
didn't turn
That's
the
not a
ball
bad
over, and he let his
thing.
defense win. And guess what? His
Yeah.
defense went out there and stopped Texas on the goal line. I mean,
Right.
thank God for that.
Everyone
Otherwise,
thinks
we're going into overtime.
managing the game is a bad thing, but it's not always a bad thing. When you have a defense like that and a running game,
Well, when you're a freshman, that's all you can hope to do is
Yeah.
manage the game.
that's right.
He did a nice job of managing the game. I think he's going to be a superstar. I'm very high on the kid, but not like crazy high where I'm willing to anoint him as one of the
He's
best
not winning the
quarterbacks.
Heisman this year. He's not winning
Let's
the
just
Heisman.
say this. Was he one of the top quarterbacks this week? No, he wasn't.
No, I agree.
Was he top 4 or 5? No, not even close. His
Right.
defense won the game for them, and he didn't lose it.
I
So
agree.
he did everything he needed to do with that defense that he was playing with.
So
They crushed it.
So to wrap up this topic, you think both these players by the end of the year are going to be really excellent college players?
Yes.
Okay, I do too.
And I think next year they're going to be fighting for the Heisman.
I do think Arch has a little further to go because of the processing speed, and I don't know how they're going to be able to speed him up, but they have to. He's got to process faster.
I don't agree. I think he's going to be just fine. I don't agree that his processing speed is that far off. I think he's a little behind right now, but he'll get there after 1 or 2 games.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Florida State, Alabama. We've already touched a little bit on it. This was an incredibly shocking situation with the 2-10 Seminoles coming in after a devastating year last year where they almost had their coach fired. And Alabama just didn't look like Alabama in this game. They really didn't. Ty Simpson, who's been waiting on the bench for 2 years for his chance, waited behind Bryce Young, Milroe last year, and finally got his chance. Goes 23 for 43, under 50% completion percentage, 254, 5.9 average with 2 touchdowns. And yet, if you watch the film, he just looked lost. He just didn't look like he was in command of the offense at all. It's hard to explain unless you actually see the game, but I don't know. He just wasn't ready for the moment. It's really as simple as that. The other thing that I noticed about this Alabama team is they can't run the ball. I mean, they were getting stuffed and stuffed and stuffed and stuffed.
Yeah.
They were trying to run the ball.
And then the other thing, the ball. They gave up sacks. They threw the ball a lot.
And then another thing I noticed is that, like some of the other defenses, Florida State was able to take Ryan Williams out of the game. He was essentially caught a couple balls, but was not really an impact player.
Yeah, he only had a handful of touches.
Castellanos didn't pass it nearly as much as you can see, but just the way the swagger he had going into this game and then during the game itself, with the 83 QBR and the way he handled the offense, the rushing yards he had, he was pretty impressive. He's an impressive kid. So thoughts
Florida
about this
State
game?
definitely had players. Their talent level definitely is higher than what we've seen the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And Castellanos was magical. I mean, he did great.
Have you ever seen an Alabama defense get run on like that before? I mean, you can see here 5 guys running down their throat. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, is Alabama that soft? Do they have a bad game? Did they not get any sleep the night before? Like, what is it?
I think they're slipping in recruiting.
Is it slipping in recruiting? Is it NIL? Is it that they don't have Saban? This is very head-scratching. The most head-scratching game, I thought, the weekend.
Well, I think they've always been built around playing defense and running the ball.
Right.
And then a few years ago, they became more of a passing team, but that was a little out of character for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Kalen DeBoer is a lot more high-flying offense, and he doesn't have the players for it for the most part.
I think that's right.
And their defense has slipped, so they're not as good on defense, and they're not great on offense.
Do you think Ty Simpson
not getting Nick Saban's recruits?
You think Ty Simpson is ready for the moment?
Ready for what?
For the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
Because
really
Robbie,
him.
they're going to be playing LSU. They're going to be playing Georgia. They're
I
going to be
know.
playing Ole Miss. I mean, I see
I
4
think
or
that
5
I
losses
think
on their
that it's
schedule.
I think that it's very easy to overreact to week one. And I don't say that disparagingly to anybody who's doing it. I think our tendencies are to go way overboard. Like I'm hearing a lot of talk about Miami winning last night. They're back and this and that. Like they barely won. Like it was a really tight game. It could have gone kind of either way. And Carson Beck got bailed out from an incredible catch for a touchdown.
That was a really fun game to watch, by the way. That was
That
a
was
great game.
it looked
Yeah.
like Odell
Yeah.
Beckham, you know.
It looked
Um,
like a playoff game. It really did.
yeah, and so I think that game could have gone either way. I think if they played 10 times, it's 5-5. So, but the hysteria is so and so team won, so they must be doing everything right, and so lost, so everyone should be talking about their coach being on the hot seat. It's just overreaction Monday. It's like crazy.
What do you think about this Castellanos quote going into the game where he said, "They don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me." Do you like that swagger?
Uh,
Do you think it's a little over the top?
I
What do you
like it
think?
if it's my team, but I don't like it if I had the choice. I'd rather not have somebody doing bulletin board material, but
Right, right.
I like the confidence.
So overall assessment, was this more about Florida State has much improved from last year, or is it more about Alabama under DeBoer is slipping, or is it both?
I really think it's both. I
Yeah.
don't see how you can deny that Florida State is a better team with better players than last year. And they're hungry and they're a little bit embarrassed about last year and they're kind of mad. And then at the same time, you can't argue that DeBoer's not getting the same defensive players that Saban got.
No, not at all. They're
And
soft.
offense is going to take some time. So even if they start to be high flying and big time scoring, that's going to take a little time.
Hmm. I
You
agree.
know,
You don't have any Will Andersons on this team.
no,
So, well, it'll be really interesting to see. Florida State comes into this game unranked, so that shows you what the street felt about Florida State
but I've
coming
been
in.
telling you about Florida State
I know.
and
That's
how
true.
they crushed it in the transfer portal
Hmm.
and that they're going to be better this year. And therefore, they're one of the reasons why I think the ACC is going to be a little better this year.
I agree. And
And
Miami looks
so
pretty good.
far,
So
we're doing
mhm.
the ACC is doing pretty well.
Miami looks pretty good. Georgia Tech beat Colorado. I mean, yeah, it was a really good
Yeah,
first week.
yeah.
So one of the teams that did disappoint from the ACC was Clemson, who
That's,
lost at home. What was
yeah,
interesting is you had the LSU Tigers versus the Clemson Tigers, so Tigers versus Tigers.
yeah.
Both of them call their home field Death Valley,
I know.
which is
Crazy.
fun. So LSU was going into Clemson's Death Valley in this one, and the only way to look at this game is that Cade Klubnik just was disappointing. I don't know how else to say it. He didn't look at
I think
all like the senior quarterback.
LSU's defense is pretty darn good.
They're legit.
They have a lot of players. You're
But
looking at a lot of NFL.
Nussmeier looked much more in control in this game. He really
Yeah.
did. He was leading long drives.
I think he's going to ultimately be a first round pick.
No, I agree with that, 100%. But even their rushing game was better. They had better receivers. Clemson just looked kind of feckless all day. I don't know what happened, but
I
thoughts?
don't know. I don't think they were ready for him for some reason. I think LSU is a much better team than people have thought so far. It's only week one, but um, they're ninth in the country. They're going up.
You
They're going
remember
to
I
be.
picked Clemson to go to the national championship game this year. I really thought this was their year, and
Yeah.
I do think they're going to be much better than they looked on Saturday. But this is incredibly disappointing the way they played.
I don't think you're going to see another game where Cade Klubnik has a QBR of 31.4.
No, I don't think so.
I think they're going to work it out. They're going to do better.
Rob, they had 32 yards rushing as a team.
Yeah.
You can't win any game like that.
Time of possession, LSU 37 and Clemson 22.
Right. That's exactly right. So this was
Well,
very
and Clemson
surprising to me.
averaged 1.7 yards a rush, by the way.
I figured LSU would be good this year under Nussmeier, his senior year, ready to go to the NFL. I knew they'd be a good team. I just really felt strong that Clemson would pull this one out, and it would be something like 27-24 or something like that. But I didn't see them scoring 10 points. I just didn't see that happen.
So it stays entirely within my my philosophy that the big matchups were really, really low scoring.
Interesting here.
This is the only one, though, that the home team lost.
So we talked about this game, 27-24. Great game. Carson Beck looked really sharp. 20 for 31, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran the offense, stayed within it. Didn't do his normal picks that he throws in previous years. They ran the ball well, played good defense. They have this kid, Malachi Tony, who you mentioned, who's just off the charts. What a player.
He was awesome.
And then C.J. Carr for Notre Dame played really well. I thought he had a nice game and did throw the one pick, but overall, I felt like this game might be going to overtime. It was so close.
Did you see that pick? It was strange. It hit like 5 players.
I did see that. I did see that. It was crazy. Did you see?
It wasn't good on Carr's part, but it wasn't a disaster either. He tried to throw a screen and a guy got in the way and it hit a guy's helmet and then bounced off this. And then a guy dove in the air and his leg flipped up and kicked it upward. And then the defensive lineman came over and got it.
That's right.
It was an unusual pick.
Very strange. Did you see who had 3 catches for Notre Dame?
Yes. Malachi Fields.
Yeah.
And he had a fumble.
And he
had a really nice catch.
He's wearing number 0, which I think is good.
0,
yeah. These are 2 really good teams. Of course, Notre Dame has a lot of NFL players' sons on it, which is kind of cool.
The stats that jumped out to me that were significant, Notre Dame had 2 turnovers, and the Hurricanes had 0. And also time of possession, 26 for Notre Dame and 33 minutes for Miami. They just had it a little bit longer.
I think both these teams are going to have really great seasons. So this is the kind of loss you can sustain early in the year when you're playing on the road against a really good team. And would you be shocked if both these teams make the playoff?
No, because there was one more stat that really jumped out at me. Jeremiah Love, 10 carries.
Yes. Yep, I saw that.
I mean, he has the potential to be the best running back in the country.
I know.
10 carries for 33 yards. He did catch 4 passes, but that's just not enough. Like, he has to be touching the ball more than that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a head scratcher the way that Notre Dame ran that game, but
yeah, they had the other running back who was touching the ball a lot. Like, I didn't understand it.
You realize Notre Dame had 7 points until 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a great game. I really enjoyed that one.
It was a good game.
So looking at some of the other games, Boise State looks like they're really hurting without Ashton Jeanty. They got absolutely blown out by South Florida, who's an unranked team.
They're a perfect example of when the critics and the reporters don't really know how good somebody's going to be. They just kind of keep them in something similar to what they were last year until they see different.
That's what happens. Yeah,
Boise State doesn't belong in the top 25. They had Ashton Jeanty last year, so they did.
They're not a ranked team. They're not a ranked team. Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
And we saw it.
Absolutely. Yep.
South Florida put a hurting on them.
They do have this kid Madsen, who's a pretty good quarterback and was last year. Had a decent game, but he just was completely overwhelmed by South Florida. And they looked so pumped up, by the way, South Florida.
They did.
They might surprise some people this year. We'll see.
Maybe.
Another game, we talked about Altmaier. What a blowout this was, 52-3. He just went crazy. He had 3 really nice touchdowns. He had another one that was dropped in the end zone. Could have had 4th. Also, they can run the ball. This kid, Lauhi, had 9 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Thoughts about Illinois? Can they win or at least contend in the Big Ten?
I think so. I mean, they're ranked 12. They have a legitimate shot at a playoff berth. They've got a lot of returning pieces, and they look very powerful. You know, I wouldn't want to play them. They're going
This
to
is
be
the kind of game we were
monster.
used to in the old days for week 1 and week 2. They're almost like preseason games.
Right.
Yeah. And then they play like Michigan in week 3 or something. So that's more like
Maybe.
what we're used to. I think
Yeah.
they're a really good ball club. I agree with you. I don't think
They're
anyone
very
will
solid.
They'll be top 10 this week coming up.
Yeah.
So, Penn State takes care of business. They're the number 2 team in the country, beat Nevada 46-11. Looked really impressive. Aller had a really nice, beautiful couple throws down the sideline. Nevada has a kid named Purdy, and they were asking on the program whether he's related to Brock Purdy, and he is not. So,
Tom, Aller's numbers 22 of 26.
yes, 217 yards
217 and a touchdown.
Yeah. So
You know,
one of
6
the
rushing.
many kind of NFL ready quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
All these guys are really solid. So Penn
Yeah.
State's looking really good. I'm not sure I want to play them either.
No.
Georgia takes on a Marshall team that really shouldn't be on the same field with them and wins 45-7. Stockton looked pretty decent. 14
No,
for
he
24.
looked better than decent.
190
he had 2 touchdowns throwing and two rushing.
rushing. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Just 73 yards rushing and 190 yards throwing. I'm telling you,
he had the game of his life, but the question is, will he do that against Ole Miss? I don't know.
He was a highly recruited quarterback.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of potential. I think he had a tough game last year in the semis, was it?
Yes.
But I think he's a very good quarterback. I think
that was
people are
because
going to be
he
surprised.
was put into the last minute. He wasn't really prepared. I mean,
he wasn't really ready. You have to be ready.
But he is ready. He's now ready. There's no question.
Yeah, he's had all off season. Like, it's his team. He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to watch
They
him develop.
destroyed Marshall.
We talked about Sam Levitt with a 38-19 win over Northern Arizona. Looked really solid. He can really sling it, man. I think he's going to be a really good pro one day. If he gets with the right team, they don't start him right away. They develop him, put him behind a.
He also had 73 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I saw that. 2 touchdowns throwing and receiving.
He's a dual threat, monster quarterback.
So he can run and throw.
Yeah, Arizona State had 203 yards rushing, and Northern Arizona had 89.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to overcome that kind of
So
domination.
it looks like Arizona State, at least under Sam Levitt, last year was not a fluke. That's what it looks like to me.
Right.
Because they lose Scadaboo and they don't miss a beat.
They're not running it, the same way. The quarterback's running a lot of the time, but they're still effectively running the ball. They're not punishing you like with Scadaboo, but
that's right.
They're
fun to watch, Arizona State. I'm kind of rooting for them.
But it's interesting when you have a quarterback who's dual threat, because then it's really hard to play defense against. You don't know what they're going to do.
That's right.
He could just as easily run as he could pass. So
this next game, Michigan takes on New Mexico with our old coach, Bronco Mendenhall. Wins 34-17. New Mexico actually played them a lot tougher than I thought they would. But Michigan just has so much more talent and ends up winning this game. Underwood looked pretty darn good. He was the top recruit in the country last year. 21 for 31, 251, a touchdown. Also had some really nice runs in this game.
Justice Haynes ran like crazy.
He did.
159 yards and 3 touchdowns.
They can really always run the ball, Michigan.
Yeah.
Goodness. So this is a quote that came out after the game. The most talented quarterback in the country is not Arch Manning, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, or any other veteran quarterback. It's Michigan true freshman Bryce Underwood, and it's not even close. So does that feel a little bit like overreaction Monday to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to be pretty darn good. But
he might be in the top 2 or 3 of freshmen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't put him into the category with some of those guys who are going to be going first round in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
But do I think he has a really promising career? Yes, I do.
Is the ceiling pretty high? Yes.
Yeah. He can run, pass, do it all. Seems like he's got command of the offense as a freshman. So.
Yeah.
But I love those kind of quotes because there's such overreaction. Just wait till they lose to Indiana or something. everyone will
Yeah.
be screaming about how he stinks.
How he's terrible and put in someone else. Like,
Yeah, it's fun. So another big game, Kevin Jennings, who just splashed onto the scene last year in the ACC. They ended up winning the ACC championship last year. He looked fantastic again. They win 42-13. He had a really nice day, 22 for 30, 260 plus 2 touchdowns. Thoughts about SMU? It looks like they might not be a fluke.
yeah, they're a solid program. 16. I think that's a little bit low. I think they're slightly better.
Yeah.
They're probably about 14 or 13 in the
Did you
country.
notice they just win? Like nobody talks about them. They just
Yeah.
kind of fly under the
They
radar and they
they
just win.
quietly get a lot of wins.
Yeah.
And part of that is their scheduling. Like they got some soft scheduling. So that's nice. You know,
Well, playing the ACC helps them a lot.
they're
I
gonna
mean,
beat a lot
obviously,
of these bad teams.
if they were in the SEC, they wouldn't win as many games.
That's right.
But I don't know.
If
He's
they had
pretty
to
darn
play Ole
impressive.
Miss and then Georgia and then Alabama, I mean,
What do you see him like a third round pick, maybe fourth round pick? He's a
Jennings,
developmental guy. Yeah,
yeah, third or fourth
yeah, I think so.
in this quarterback heavy draft. Yeah, maybe fourth.
He'll get a shot.
Yeah.
No question. He's impressive. He's a good kid. Kansas State, having lost week 1 in Ireland to Iowa State, comes back and barely beats a really bad North Dakota team. 38-35 was really high scoring. Johnson has a really nice day with 318 and 3 touchdowns. But the story of this game is that Kansas State does not look like the team everyone thought they were going to be when they picked them to win the Big 12. They're really
Yeah,
struggling.
I didn't believe that was the case.
Did you know North Dakota's not even a Division I team? They're an FCS team.
Yeah.
So
I
what do
don't
you
understand the hype over Kansas State. They're not winning the Big 12.
So what do you think about them? I mean, are they the kind of team that can be there at the end, or are they just overrated and not as good as Iowa State or Utah or some of the other
I
teams?
don't think they're as good as Iowa State.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I still feel like they're a good team, but I don't think they're top
Yeah.
25 right now.
No, no. They'll be top 4 in the Big 12. But that's
They're
about it.
maybe around 25, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Somewhere teetering around being ranked, but
So another guy who star just absolutely rose on Saturday. Nobody saw this coming. Is freshman Mateer for Oklahoma. They win 35-3, and social media is just going crazy over this kid. And they say he looks like Tom Cruise. So they're just buzzing like crazy over this really good-looking quarterback kid they got in Oklahoma. So what are
no,
your thoughts about?
I've been hearing about him all off season.
He shattered every one of Baker Mayfield's Oklahoma records for a game with 392 and 3 touchdowns. He was 30 for 37.
Yeah, he's he's not a freshman. He
First year starter, I should say.
yeah. Yeah, no, he transferred from where did he transfer from? Washington State. So yeah, I've been hearing a lot about him. He's a junior and he's from Texas. You know, he's one of these quarterbacks, but he's gotten in a little hot water. Mateer has actually been in hot water this week. They found out that he was unwisely using his Venmo. That's public knowledge. And he was paying gambling debts. So he's in a lot of trouble. He might actually end up being, I don't know if it's suspended or he's probably gonna have some real issues coming his way soon.
Yeah, probably is. But
So
just
yeah, I've been hearing a lot about him all off season.
from a pure football standpoint, the guy's incredible. I
He's a
mean,
good player.
he sparkles on the
Yeah.
field. So, yeah, hopefully he can clear up his legal issues. We'll
But
see
the big scandal
Yeah.
that's coming his way is
Yeah.
going to be. Hopefully he gets through it, but I mean he's paying all these gambling debts on his Venmo. That's somebody
Not smart.
went to
Not smart.
not smart, you know. One of the
Have you ever-
angry one of the one of his competitors, I don't know which team it was, have alumni who check everything they can on people, their opponents, and they released all this information.
So Texas A&M takes care of Texas San Antonio. This kid Reed's pretty good for A&M. Had a really nice day, 289 with 4 touchdowns. They were slinging it all over the pitch. Thoughts about Texas A&M? Can they be a force in the SEC this year?
Yeah, but they're going to run into limitations. But they always recruit well.
Yeah, they're one of the richest programs in the country. And doesn't it feel like they never quite get there?
They have like billionaires, donors, and stuff.
And I don't know why that is. I'm not sure why they can't get over the hump and get into that kind of final 8 territory.
I think ultimately they're going to. I think that they pour so much money into the program that ultimately they're going to be a top contending team.
Mm-hmm.
It might take 2 more years, but
right.
So.
We'll see. I think they could make some noise in the SEC. So Indiana doesn't look anything like the team we thought they could be after last year's miracle. They bring over Mendoza from Cal Berkeley, who was pretty good there. Has kind of a pedestrian day for Indiana. They were losing to Old Dominion in the first half and then end up squeaking it out. Thoughts about Indiana this year? Are they really the 20th best team in the country? Are they going to have a little bit of a fallback year?
I don't know about that. We'll see. I think Cignetti does an amazing job. He's definitely a winner, and he's going to get a lot out of the program. He's going to get a lot out of the guys.
Rob, Old Dominion was ranked 120th ranked this year, so they barely beat 100.
We'll see what a season of Kurt Cignetti coaching looks like. But I think that they kind of got it rolling a little bit in Indiana, and while they may not quite reach where they did last year, that was a special season. They're going to be in contention for a playoff spot, I think.
You think so?
They may not get there, but they're going to be in contention.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. This was a very unimpressive performance. Let's just put it that way. This is supposed to be a blowout. This
Agreed.
is supposed to be a 35-3 kind of thing.
Week 1,
And Mendoza is the new quarterback coming in from Cal. Maybe he needs a little time to settle in,
Exactly.
Like you said, Cignetti's a really good coach. So
yeah, he's a really good coach.
They need to put this one behind them. They need to regroup because this was not very good. They were losing to a pretty bad team.
Right.
We'll see. Florida, 55-0.
Yeah.
This kid Jones had some really nice plays. I was watching their highlights. Wow, this kid is something, Jones, both passing and running. So Florida is absolutely loaded with talent. It's crazy how good they can be. I don't want to play them either. So, thoughts about the Gators in the SEC this year?
Long Island University or whatever was 1 for 12 on 3rd down.
Right.
And Florida was 7 for 13. Yardage 87 to 451.
Wow.
Yeah. Penalties. Long Island had 12 penalties for 100 yards, and Florida had 0 penalties.
That is crazy.
I mean, it's just like a complete domination.
What a performance.
Yeah.
What do you think Florida can do this year in the SEC?
I'm gonna go back to our last episode. I think it all comes down to DJ Lagway and can he stay healthy? And I would say it's a coin flip. I think if he goes down hurt, they're going to have a disappointing season.
Mm-hmm.
And if he stays healthy, they could easily make a big run.
One thing I will say is Florida last year and the year before, in both years, got off to really bad starts, like 1-3 kind of starts, and then finished strong. This year they start out 1-0, and we'll see how the early season progresses. But they were saying early on that they need to have a good start to the season. They haven't had one in a while.
I think the smart GMs, athletic directors, all that, who work on putting together schedules, start with the pancake. Start with a patty cake team. You want to get a big win to start and get a little momentum.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be Notre Dame or Texas coming
It's
out
like
of
a preseason game. It really is. So we mentioned this Nico debut for UCLA, 11 for 22, 136, one touchdown, one interception, 47 rushing yards, and had a 50% rating. And they got blown out by Utah 43-10, and he got benched midway through the fourth quarter. Didn't look like at all like a competitive team. So thoughts about UCLA in general, and then also Nico, and can he turn it around this year?
I don't think he's good enough to turn around a program that doesn't seem to be as loaded on talent as what he's used to.
Right. I agree with that. I think they're struggling right now. I think a lot of the people that were there coaching and on the staff and everything have all gotten out because they saw this coming.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA has been losing the recruiting wars for quite a while now. The players they used to get go to Oregon or USC or those kind of places, and UCLA is now getting the 3-star recruit, not the 4 or 5-star recruit. So do you think this miserable situation will continue for him? Will he end up transferring next year to somebody else? Because he's this highly touted recruit, and he just seems to be in a stuck situation.
It's hard to say. He said, "Man, I really wanted to go home." So I think he's glad to be back in California. And I don't know. You never know what the future holds. The transfer portal could change this really quickly. A lot of these quarterbacks are going to be gone next year. So if you're an incoming kid or a transfer, you might say, I believe it might be one of your best options at quarterback going into next year.
The other story coming out of this game no one's talking about, but they should be, is Utah looked unbelievable in this game, and they look like they're the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And they look like they're the team we thought we were going to get last year when they had such a disappointing season. So thoughts about Utah, and maybe they're the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to the Big 12.
I think it's Joel Klatt that says it. When you don't hear anything about Utah, they're really good. When you start hyping them up, they lose. So
that's right.
It's been silent on coverage of Utah, and that's when it appears like they really dominate and they have it all together. So
looking at a couple more games, Ole Miss absolutely whoops up on a decent Georgia State program. They went to a bowl last year. This was just the biggest whooping I've seen in a long time. The highlights were so long, Robbie. It took me 20 minutes to get through them all.
Yeah,
watching these highlights, and this kid Simmons is something, man.
Yeah, he is.
341 with 3 touchdowns for Ole Miss. They can run the ball. They can pass the ball. They have tight ends all over the place. They have huge defensive linemen, big front seven. I don't know, man. I'm telling you right now, this is one of those teams, kind of like South Carolina, you just don't want to play.
I don't know, man. They're going to play Georgia, and we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Who would you take, Alabama or Ole Miss right now?
Ole Miss.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a lot.
I think Kalen DeBoer is a really good coach. So if you give Alabama a little time,
I do too. I just think they're going to be a very tough out in the SEC this year. I really do. They just have that kind of moxie. They reflect their coach in a lot of ways. Iowa State goes to 2-0. Luke is excited. They beat South Dakota 55-7.
Yeah.
Their quarterback Becht had a real nice start to the season. He had another really nice game.
He had an unbelievable game.
Yeah, another one of those QBs that is really helping his draft stock, I would say.
He was 19 of 20.
Yeah.
He had one incompletion.
It's true.
278, 3 touchdowns. QBR rating 95.4. I think that was the highest of any quarterback.
So is Iowa State maybe the best team in the Big 12? I mean, they're going to give Utah a run for their money.
I think Iowa State's the best team. Yeah. And Utah is a very close second.
I think that's what it looks like to me too. So I'm really excited about this Iowa State team. They just fell short last year, and I know they very much want to make the playoffs, so we'll see.
They put up 529 yards of offense.
I know. Incredible. So
Yeah.
Texas Tech, a lot of people were picking them this year as kind of a dark horse to make the playoff. Nobody's really been talking about them much. They are 23 in the country, and they go 67-7 against Pine Bluff. So again, huge performance for their quarterback, for their running back. How much can you take out of a game like this when they play a really pathetic program?
Not much. I think it's good because you can get down your timing with real guys rushing and live fire. But when you beat somebody badly like that, you're just superior to them
Mm-hmm.
in every position group. So it doesn't really tell you that much.
I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't, you don't really know how good they're going to be when they play Pine Bluff. Tennessee struggled with Syracuse in the first half a little bit and then kind of turned it on and really showed that they're one of the class of the SEC. Played really, really solid, looked really good. They looked much better than the number 24 team in the country. Syracuse, to their credit, did not roll over in this game. They really fought hard and tried to make it a ball game and did for a while. What are your thoughts about this ball game and about Tennessee in general?
I think Tennessee is a very powerful team. I think that they've had several years in a row where they're back, as a top SEC team. Syracuse is a tough team to play. I think they have a lot of talent,
They do.
um, but Tennessee is elite, and I think that they could finish near the top of the SEC. And so I think that Aguilar had an amazing game. Star
He
Tom
was great. He was great.
ran,
Yeah.
ran well. Brady
Staley.
Staley.
Yeah, all these guys were fantastic. I mean,
They had a, they
they're
had a very
loaded with talent.
they spread the ball around nicely.
Yeah.
So
This quarterback for Syracuse was pretty good though, and Jelly.
yeah,
He's the one who had to fill in for Kyle McCord, who went to the pros,
yeah,
and he looked pretty solid. I
decent.
don't
I
know.
mean, he was 23 of 40. That's not great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
throwing the ball way too many times. But total yardage 377 for Syracuse and 495 for Tennessee. There's a lot
and
of offense.
Jelly looked like he's going to develop. He's going to get better,
Yeah,
and in the ACC, he's going to have some success. I think.
I agree.
So,
I think
yeah,
the defense wasn't good enough on either side.
hmm
But
I agree
well,
with that.
I should say I think Tennessee had 5 sacks, so that was decent. But and Jelly still put up some numbers. So
Syracuse is a tough team to play, like you said. They're always a tough out, but they're not going to beat an SEC team with this much talent. It's just not
no,
going to
never.
happen. NC State holds on for dear
Yeah,
life after, in the beginning, looking like they were going to blow East Carolina off the field. East Carolina scores 10 points in the fourth quarter and almost pulls it off. They were actually driving for the tying score, and NC State has a really nice stand to finish it off. And picture there to the right, you can see is this kid Grimes, who just is fantastic. What a
yeah.
great receiver he is, and how exciting for NC State to have a guy who's this good with the ball. But thoughts about this game for NC State? A little bit disappointing the way it finished.
I I didn't find it that disappointing. There's there's a lot of bad blood between these schools on the football field. There's a lot of smack talk from unusual places like school administrators and stuff like that. Um, they don't like each other,
Mm-hmm.
and these two schools are relatively close. They're not
And they
far away.
recruit the same players. A lot of the same players
They recruit the
recruit. They go
same
to high
players,
school together. Yeah. Yep.
and East Carolina just gets so jazzed to play NC State, and so I don't. I think a win is a great thing for NC State here. And if you're East Carolina, this one hurts.
It does. So, what do you think about Bailey with another year of experience? What do you think about NC State this year? Are they going to be middle of the pack ACC? They're going to be top four ACC.
I really like Dorn. I really like CJ Bailey, and I always like their defense. So they're going to be I think they're going to be top 5 in the ACC. I
Mhm.
think it's going to be Florida State and Clemson fighting it out. SMU
Miami.
and Miami. And then I don't know what Carolina is yet, but potentially NC State and Carolina kind of battling for that 5th spot.
I could see that for sure.
But there might be some surprises here still. We're only learning about teams, like watching Georgia Tech go beat Colorado. Now is surprising, right? So
Yeah, I think
ACC
Georgia Tech's pretty
looking
good.
a
Georgia
little
Tech was
better.
pretty good last year, you know.
I think
So
ACC is looking a touch better than it has in the past. They've gotten their
mhm.
act together on NIL. Everyone's participating in the transfer portal now, even Clemson. And I think the ACC got its act together a little bit. Are they better than the SEC or Big Ten? No. But are they potentially better than what they were? Yes. I think they absolutely are better.
Just talking about Georgia Tech taking down Colorado, that was a really solid game. I really enjoyed watching that one.
Yeah, me too.
Salter, I thought, really was going to take this game. He's a pretty good quarterback for Colorado. Was a transfer. Haynes King had a little bit of a rough start, but then, as you can see, he really turned it on and ended up having 19 carries for 156 yards and 3
Yeah.
touchdowns on the
He was
ground.
a running
Machine.
machine.
Yeah. And we know Georgia Tech can run the ball. They basically run essentially the wishbone offense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, thoughts about this game? Georgia Tech pulling this one off, and where does Colorado go from here?
That was a tough loss. Obviously, this one happened earlier in the week. I didn't really count this in terms of the home team that lost. Really, it was only Clemson on Saturday and Sunday games. But I don't know. When I watched this game, it felt like Georgia Tech was going to win just because they were running effectively and Colorado was making mistakes.
You know what I realized is that Colorado's offense is going to be fine this year. Matter of fact, they're going to be darn right explosive at times, but they have not fixed their defensive problems. Last year, their problem
No.
was their defense, and they're just soft. They're just soft. Most teams that can run the ball are going to run it down their throats.
Run it down their throat, yeah.
Yeah, they're just soft. So to win games, Salter's going to have to outshoot everybody.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me. The last one here is Virginia, and we mentioned this 48-7 win. What a big deal this is for a hurting program, a coach that's under fire that could potentially get fired at the end of the year if we don't see some improvement. And we bring this kid over, Chandler Morris, largely because his father was good friends with Elliott, and they both were on the staff with Dabo Sweeney at Clemson. Comes over as a transfer from North Texas and just lights the world on fire. And then, of course, has this very explosive receiver we talked about, which was Cam Ross, and you see a picture of him there to the right. And this is a great comment on the UVA board. It said, "I have so many photos of Ross from the game. Seems like every time he touches the ball, it's a big play or a TD." So, how fun was that for this guy who was at field level who was taking these pictures?
It was pretty fun. Real fun. I will say that out of all the commentators I've been watching on ACC Network and other places, the thing they're talking about the most is the defense.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, how this defense is legitimate and they have real solid players on there, and how they've made big strides on the defensive side of the ball. So
It's true.
I think the offense is going to get some attention, but I think the defense is really where a lot of the pundits are
It just
truly.
it just felt good to have a quarterback who was in command, who was at the line of scrimmage, who was doing audibles. He was audibling into a pass play or into a run play when it was necessary. He was making beautiful throws on time with touch.
Yeah.
It just felt like we actually have a legitimate quarterback for the first time in a couple of years.
But this is the thing, like you want a nice tune-up game, and that's what that was. I know that
Yes.
Coastal's had some success of late, but I don't think of them as a powerhouse. And
But not a powerhouse. But this should not have been 48-7. This was an impressive win by Virginia.
It was.
Really was.
It actually was impressive. I will say that.
Let's get into the Micah trade a little bit. Bigger loss for the city of Dallas, Micah or Luka? What do you think?
I hate to sit on the fence, but they're both equal. They're both.
I think Micah is a bigger loss. I think Micah's a bigger loss
I wouldn't
because
have paid either guy what they were asking.
Right.
But
you're talking about a team, the Cowboys, that need every Pro Bowl player they can get, whereas the Mavericks have essentially, with the Cooper Flag pick, already had a good team. Now have added Cooper Flag, and they're basically a contender now. So whether they have Luka or not, they're a contender, whereas the Cowboys are not a contender, they're actually a joke now. So,
but what's interesting is Luka doesn't have the work ethic. Apparently, that's really part of his weight problem.
Yes,
he's a super high talented player, but he doesn't control his weight and stuff like that. So I'm not sure staying in Dallas was going to help him that much. I mean, going to work with LeBron probably helped him a lot more than he would have gotten in Dallas.
Right.
So,
well, guys, drop us a comment. What you think is the bigger loss for the city of Dallas? I personally think it's Micah. I think that they were already a thin squad, and I think that they're really going to miss him and not have a pass rush this year. We'll see. So here's a couple interesting quotes. The first one is, the Cowboys make no sense. Why on earth would you do this trade now and not in March? Beyond idiotic.
Yeah. Jerry Jones completely mishandled this, and everyone knows it.
And then another quote here. Jerry Jones bought the Cowboys by shaking hands with Bum Bright. Micah Parsons committed to a contract extension with Jerry on a handshake. It had nothing to do with paper. And so when Parsons reneged, Jerry decided Parsons would never again wear the star on his helmet. So do you think it really just got personal like that? He's really kind of old school. If you shake with me, then I take it as your word. It's what it feels
I have
like.
no idea. I don't think that was the case. I think Jerry was very much willing. He offered him $40 million a year, which I think is more than he's worth. So Jerry went hat in hand and begged him basically to stay, and he said no. So you let him go, and you take the picks.
But you agree this was mishandled. I mean, this should have been settled in March.
Yeah. No, it should have been settled. He should have had a strategy on how to sign his big three instead of letting them all land and have controversy around all of them.
Plus, they could have addressed pass rusher in the draft, Robbie.
Correct. Yeah, you don't overpay Dak and then CD and then overpay here.
Right.
I think you're going to end up a good team.
So this is interesting. New Packers linebacker Micah Parsons is one of two players to have at least 12 sacks in each of his first 4 seasons. The other was Reggie White. So he's in rare company now with the kind of first 4 years he's put up as a pass rusher. So he's clearly not the same player as Reggie White, who was an interior lineman. He's a stand-up lineman, not an interior lineman. But what do you think about, can he have that kind of trajectory as a career, or do you think he's not in that category?
I don't think he's in Reggie White's category, but I think that's unfair to put that on him. Could he be a Lawrence Taylor? That's also not fair, but at least they look more similar the way they play.
Right, exactly. I don't think it's a fair comparison, but it is interesting to think about these two guys on similar trajectories. They just don't play the same position. That's the problem.
Right.
Reggie White was one of those unbelievable interior linemen who could also sack people. You never seen a talent like that before.
Yeah, I mean, he was scary strong.
So this was interesting. What was your reaction to Micah Parsons? This is J.J. Watt. He said, I keep refreshing and reading to make sure it's real. No way. So J.J. Watt could not believe that this deal happened.
He couldn't believe the amount of money that Parsons was getting paid.
But also he couldn't believe that they traded him. Like, he just couldn't believe. You don't trade a Hall of Fame guy. You just don't do it. It's kind of like against the creed. So do you think all the players?
I would. For picks, I would.
Because the
problem is you don't have You don't have the guy from the Eagles doing the picking.
The picks can be busts. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
that's the problem.
That's why
Jerry's going
if
to
the
take
guy's
another wide
certified Pro
receiver
Bowler,
and probably
right?
probably a kicker or something.
So this is interesting. Abdul Carter, who also went to Penn State, like Micah, celebrates fellow Penn State alumni Micah Parsons on his new deal, and he said, "47 million. Let me hold some of it." So he's celebrating his fellow Penn Stater, and I'm sure Abdul Carter's hoping he gets paid like that one day, right?
Yeah.
Micah Parsons went back to the Cowboys about an extension this week and was told to play on the 5th year or leave. So do you think that's just a rumor? Like, we don't really know that happened, right?
I don't know.
And that's what was reported, was that
I
he
mean,
was
that could
essentially,
be hardball and all that stuff, but I agree. I think when you're under contract, you shouldn't hold out.
yeah. So this is pretty interesting. You had Trey Lance, who was traded for 3 first-round picks and had never played it down. And Micah was traded for 2 and is one of the best defensive players in the league. So what do you think about the comparison between these two trades?
Not fair. You can't say Micah's a bust. I mean,
Well, no, he's not a bust. What they're saying is that there was more compensation given for Trey Lance than there was
yeah,
for Micah, which is
but Trey
crazy.
Lance was a bust. So,
But the
it's a
point is that
it's a disaster for the Niners.
well, and it's kind of a disaster for the Cowboys because essentially the Packers got away with a pretty low offer for this generational talent.
I don't.
So this is interesting. He's making 47. Mahomes making 45. Did you ever think you'd see this, Robbie, where pass rushers were making what elite Super Bowl winning quarterbacks were making, or more?
Not really.
I didn't either. I'm stunned at the inflation of some of these positions.
Yeah, I
Really
agree.
pretty incredible. This is something Jones said, trying to justify the trade. He said it gives us a better chance to be a better team than we have been the last several years. So I think he really believes it.
He does.
And then he also said we need to stop the run. Essentially, that these two things in combination is why he did it. We have to stop the run. I mean, he's in a division with a lot of great running backs. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the guy they got from the Packers definitely gives them a nice piece in there that they desperately needed. And then there's ways of getting pressure, but yeah, I think that it all comes down to whether Jerry can pick correctly on filling needs with those picks, and if he can't, then they're not going to be better. They're going to be worse.
in NFL kickoff week, Robbie, I am so pumped. We lead off Thursday night with a game between Dallas and the Eagles. That's going to be a blood match. No Micah, but these two teams always go at it in the NFC East. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That's an 8 o'clock game. Then we have a special Friday night game, which I was really surprised. We have a Friday night game this week. Kansas City and the Chargers. So another blood match. You can see they're trying to use the same model college does with the kickoff games. And
Yeah, I
then you
heard
have
Kansas City's upset because they have to play 5 different days.
That's right. They play 5 out of the 7 days this year.
Yeah, 5 days. That's
This
tough.
game, this Friday night game is in Brazil, so it's going to be really interesting. It's an international game. So the good news about it is that they'll have more time to recover and rest for week 2, which helps a little bit. Then you have this huge slate of games on Sunday: Bucks and Falcons, which is an inter-division rivalry. Bengals and Browns. You notice that NFL is trying to schedule those rivalries all the way through. So you got Bengals and Browns. You got Dolphins and Colts. You got Panthers and Jaguars in Jacksonville. Raiders and Patriots. Cardinals and Saints. Steelers and Jets. You got Aaron Rodgers playing against his team from last year. Giants and Washington, interdivision rivals. Titans and Broncos. Seahawks and 49ers. Lions and Green Bay. It doesn't get much better than that in the fourth.
I love that one.
I know. Texans, LA, Ravens and Bills. I mean, my
Mm.
goodness, what a game that is Sunday night. And then Monday you got finish it off with the Vikings and the Bears. So this is one of the best week one slates I've ever seen. What do you think?
Only because the hype around each team is so, but
You usually see all these interdivision games towards the end of the year. I really like that they pushed them up
I
this
think
year.
the Eagles roll the Cowboys. The Bucks beat the Falcons,
I do
and
too.
and to end with Sunday night Ravens Bills is pretty good.
And the 4 o'clock slot on Sunday, everyone's going to be watching Lions and Green Bay. And that's a great one.
Yeah,
Even 49ers Seahawks can be a good game.
yeah, it should be a good matchup, especially at Seattle. They're always tough, but
KC Chargers, I'm not sure what to expect from that game. Rashee Rice won't be playing.
yeah, I don't know.
You
Should be
have
a good
the
one. It's hard when you
Chargers
play
are
overseas.
dealing with offensive line issues. They have 2 of their 5 starters who are out for the season.
Yeah,
So we'll
that's
see how they deal with that. These are the Super Bowl tiers according to Fox Sports. The top contenders: Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, and Lions. Any problem with that?
no.
One breakaway means they're just off Texans, Packers, Bengals, Washington, Bucks, and Steelers. What do you think of that?
I don't agree the Steelers are there, but
I don't
okay.
think Steelers are maybe even a playoff team this year. I don't know why
No.
they'd be this high up. And I think Green Bay would be in one of the top contenders now with Micah.
I think Minnesota's in there.
Yeah, I think they should be too. Up
I'd
and
switch
comers.
Pittsburgh and Minnesota.
Yeah, me too. And I think Broncos should also be in one breakaway. I think Broncos are a little bit low there.
Yeah.
Broncos, Chargers, Minnesota. So on the fringe, LA, Dallas, and 49ers. I think Dallas is going to be one of the worst teams in football, so I disagree with that one. And then potential Cinderellas, Arizona, the Bears, and the Patriots. I've heard a lot of people saying Arizona this week. A lot of people really like Arizona.
Yeah, I heard a lot of hype around them on why
I
they think
can't
they'll
get
be
there.
better.
I can't get there with them. I just can't. They just always
Me neither.
disappoint. They'll win 7 games,
Yeah, I need to
They'll
see
win,
it first too.
they'll win a couple games that are surprising this year, and everybody will be all up in arms about they're the next coming team, and then they'll lose to the Raiders or something. So this was interesting. Last remaining free agents this week: Stephon Gilmore, Jadeveon Clowney, Asante Samuel, Hunter Renfro. He just signed with the Panthers
He just
yesterday.
signed, yeah.
Yep. Gabe Davis, Zadarius Smith, Justin Simmons, Kazir White, Jedrick Wills, Robert Woods, McCole Hardman, Jalen Mills, and Deontay Johnson. So this is what DraftKings thinks is going to happen, Robbie, in these games you were just reeling off. They've got Eagles winning 26-20. They've got Dolphins winning by a point over the Colts. They've got Washington beating the Giants. They've got the Packers beating the Lions in Green Bay. It's a home game for the Packers. They've got Kansas City beating Chargers in Brazil. They've got the Patriots going 1-0 against the Raiders. They've got the Panthers winning on the road in Jacksonville, 23-19. Texans 24-20, upset of the Rams with Matthew Stafford. They just announced he is going to start, so that's cool. Buccaneers beating the Falcons. Arizona getting off to a 1-0 start. Broncos with Bo Nix winning. The Ravens beating the Bills in Buffalo by 1 point. The Bengals going 1-0. The Steelers beating the Jets. 49ers going 1-0. And the Vikings winning 23-20 against the Bears.
Yeah.
So, guys, go to DraftKings, our sponsor for tonight, and go check out these odds for yourself and get yourself started on DraftKings. All right, let's do our subscriber challenge of the week. 2-part question. Who will be the rookie of the year in 2025? Will it be Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, or somebody else? So, Robbie, what do you think?
I think it's going to be Ashton Genty.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's going to be somebody else. I just feel like there's going to be somebody who comes out of nowhere. I think it might be like Travion Henderson or somebody like that. I think it's going to be one of those strange years where somebody comes out of nowhere. So I'm gonna go against the grain and say somebody else. So guys, drop us a comment. Who do you think is going to win NFL Rookie of the Year this year? But question 2: which team is the biggest threat to the Eagles' Super Bowl repeat? Kansas City, Washington, Detroit, Baltimore, San Francisco, Green Bay, or Denver, or it could be somebody else, of course. So Robbie,
I'm saying Detroit.
You think Detroit?
Yep.
I think it's the Ravens. I like Ravens, Green Bay in the Super Bowl.
Green Bay.
Yeah, and I think the Ravens get it done. I really think this is Lamar's year. I may be completely wrong, but that's what I feel right now.
I think there's too much hype around Green Bay.
We'll see.
I think they're a very good team. They're definitely a playoff team, but I don't think they see the third weekend.
Drop us a comment, guys, on who you think's the biggest threat to the Eagles Super Bowl repeat. Let's go to the mailbag segment. A really cool quote here, Robbie. You'll love this. Lions head coach Dan Campbell says he thinks if offensive tackle Penei Sewell switched to tight end, he could be a Hall of Fame tight end. That's how good an athlete he is.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I love it. I mean,
you love the guy. 6'5", 235.
He's just such a beast.
That's how much Dan Campbell loves this guy. I think he'd be a Hall of Fame tight end.
Funny. Dan Campbell and Jim Harbaugh look at linemen the same way. They see monster offensive linemen as a weapon.
That's right.
And they'll draft one first round in a heartbeat.
So I'll hand it to you for the mailbag.
Okay. First one is, this video got me hyped for next weekend at William Hughes.
Oh, nice. Thank you, William.
Love it.
You can't be as hyped as we are, but
we're pretty hyped.
Yeah.
We got off to an amazing start in college this week.
That's right.
Loving the passion you bring to these recaps at Jerry Chavez.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. Yeah, we do our best to bring you the best stuff possible from the weekend. There's just so much that happens. We can't discuss it all, but we do our best. So thanks.
When we started this, we had these calls on the way to work every day, and we had a lot of passion in those calls, and we hope that they come across in this forum. Sometimes I feel like we're just in our car cruising and talking. So already feels like this season will be unforgettable at Ralph Harris.
Ralph, I completely agree. I think, and I told Rob this on the episode last week, that I think this might be the best college season ever. Yeah. And the NFL season, I think, is going to be great. I don't know about the best ever, but definitely going to be great. So I'm excited.
All right. College football Saturdays are the best. At Christ Man Marie Sanchez.
I could not agree more. I've said that I've slowly, over the last 5 years, become more and more and more of a college football fan. Still love the NFL, but it's starting to take a little bit of a second place to college for me. So, yeah, I completely agree with you.
What was really fun this week was listening to all the sports radio people. I like to listen to them in the car and stuff. Going on to campuses surrounded by cheerleading squads and drum lines, and watching the police escorting the teams, and just there's something about the campus life.
And even like the Pat McAfee bit where you're talking about the guy hit the $250,000 field goal.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of money to these kids.
It's a lot of money just paid for college.
And then, of course, we had the Lee Corso last show this week on game day. That was really incredible to watch, so much fun. And he's had this incredible impact on college football in general. It's really sad to see him go. What do you think about Lee Corso? What's his legacy to you?
Well, he was involved with so many teams. He has such a deep knowledge level. He brought so much energy and so much passion. You can't fake it. You know, he was beloved because of the way he made you feel when you were watching a broadcast.
Didn't it feel a little bit like we felt with John Madden in the NFL?
Madden, yeah.
They have
Their
that same.
personalities were huge, but they were very different.
Mm-hmm,
He was a little more polished than Madden.
mm-hmm,
Corso got into this whole like putting the head on of different mascots, which was fun and kind of gave a lot of energy to the idea that we're about to watch something go down.
mm-hmm.
Um, but the way he loved football was very much like Madden.
It's true.
Okay, last one. Best college football recap on YouTube.
Wow, that is huge praise. We really
That's
appreciate
huge
that.
praise.
There's a
Terry
lot of
Walker at
there's
Terry
a,
Walker.
there's a lot of good ones, Terry, and for us to be the best, that's really huge praise. So thank you.
Yeah, and we appreciate any kind of sentiment like that. We do our best. We enjoy what we're doing. We love diving into these football matchups and pieces of information that we can get from wherever we get it from. And we just enjoy going back and forth. We're brothers, and
Yeah,
we like bouncing ideas around. Sometimes we totally disagree. Sometimes we end up on the exact same wavelength, and that's been the fun of doing this thing now for a couple of years. So, but thanks for the nice feedback. We appreciate it. We'll take anything positive when it comes to whether we're important on your YouTube selection or. So thanks.
couldn't agree more. Yep, thank you.
And that's the mailbag.
Well, Robbie, as we wrap up college week one, we head into NFL week one. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Real excited for NFL coming. College gets us started off the right way. It brings the juice,
Mm-hmm.
and but pros is interesting because that brings in the fantasy football that gets everything rolling in the right direction that way. And in some ways, I think it's a little more predictable going season into the next season.
Mm-hmm.
I think the good teams are pretty evident, and the bad teams are pretty evident. I don't know about in college. I don't know that we can even say
I
that.
agree. It's much
You
more
know, is
unpredictable.
Boise State terrible? I don't know. Are they going to be better than they were this last week? Are some of these teams that looked great going to come down to earth? There's. I think that the first 3 weeks of college are just chaos. I mean, I don't think you have any idea
Yeah,
who's gonna
I agree.
who's gonna really put themselves in a position. So
These teams
that's
that beat
exciting.
bad teams 55-7, you just don't know if they're good or not. You're not going to know until they play a really good team.
Yeah. And then the bad team ends up being decent and sort of learning a lot from these bad losses. And they end up getting better and playing tougher later in the season. So
As Cavalier fans, we don't know how excited we're supposed to get. We absolutely blew a team out. We haven't done that in about 3 or 4 years, but they could be terrible. So
I
we
have
just don't.
very tempered optimism, very tempered.
Right.
Uh,
That's
you're
true.
all excited to see them play NC State this week. And I think we could hang with them, but I don't know I'm not super excited about it.
True.
I think NC
Very
State's
true.
going to wear us down.
Well, guys, drop us a comment if you've had your fantasy football draft. Let us know how it went, how you feel about your team. And we have ours in 2 days, Wednesday night. So we're
Yeah.
really excited when our draft coming up here, and we'll let you know how it goes. We're actually going to be live streaming the event, so you'll see little clips of it. And then we have our NFL kickoff show coming up, so be looking for that as well.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff coming your way.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining tonight and for going on this football journey with us. It's just starting for the season. We're really excited. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you on another episode later this week.
Yeah,
So,
like and subscribe helps us a lot. And we got a lot of great stuff coming. So have a good one out there.
All right. See you next time on the Sports Guys. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.